Hey guys, I'm here today with a very late TBR for August, and I don't usually do TBRs, but this month is special because it's the Magical Readathon, which is a readathon created by G from Book Roast. You guys should all flock there towards her channel because oh my god, what she did to me is amazing, because she used to have a Harry Potter Magical Readathon every year and everybody loved it, but after all the J.K. Rowling talking insane shit on Twitter, she felt like she couldn't continue promoting that, and I was so proud of her because she did lose a bunch of subscribers. She got hate for it, and she stuck to her principles, she stuck to her guts, and that's amazing. And what she did was create another Magical Readathon 1,000 times better than the other one. Like, it's mind-blowing. She created this whole universe called Aldea, and there are different continents, and each continent is explained differently in her PDFs that she makes, and there are like a bunch of different species that you can choose to be, and a bunch of different places which you can choose to come from, and you can create your very own character and give them the personality you want and play through the character. It's really cool because it's not like you're playing it, it's like, what will my character do? You know what I mean? And it's so fun. And she created guilds so you can be sorted into a guild, and it's amazing. And then there's the university, the magical university called Orilium, which is where we are studying. So this year, was it this year? What was the last year? There was this the first part where we had to go to Orilium, which was really fun, and then there was the you have to choose a calling, like a profession you want to study for, to become, and it may sound complicated, but just go to her channel and see her videos. They'll explain it perfectly. In April there was the spring equinox, which was our first readathon, and based on the calling we chose, we had a set number of prompts. And now we have the autumn equinox in August, and we have a different set of prompts. And now it's not like because it's basically classes. So you take a class is a book that you have to read, a prompt. But in the autumn equinox we have different grades. So like in the Harry Potter one, which had 3 grades, this one also has 3 grades. So O is ordinary, that means you have to read 1 book. Q is qualified, you have to read 2 books, and D is distinguished, you have to read 3 books. So if you have to get a D in a certain class, you can't just read 1 book and be distinguished. You have to read 3 books. So you have to go to ordinary, qualified, and distinguished. So the thing is, in the beginning, I decided instantly that I wanted to be an Earthling because I love Avatar, and if there was a bending element bending species, I wanted to be it. So I wanted to bend air because I think if you bend air, you bend everything. That's just my opinion. And not being morbid and crazy, but homicidal, but if you have like an army of enemies in front of you and you have air bending, you can just asphyxiate them. And you're good. Am I a bad person? But in her PDFs, where she explains each species and everything, the Earthlings are divided into 4. So there's the ones that bend air, earth, water, and fire. So I wanted to bend air, but by her rules, the species who bend air have wings. And I know that's not a big deal, but I'm such, I don't know, I get irritated so easily by the smallest things, like my hair. Like if my hair is touching me too much, like I'm like this now, but honestly throughout the day it's like in a bun. And if things are touching me and just irritating me, I can't, you know. And just the thought of having 2 giant wings on my back, and the thing I love the most is sleeping, and just it would be cumbersome to sleep with wings on your back. I know it's stupid, I know it's stupid, but I gave up on being an air bender, and I was like, what's the next option? So I'm gonna be an earth bender. And then I made this whole cute character called, what was it? Finola, and that's her. And after I did the whole track towards Orilium being her, and being her, I got sorted into the Crescent Guild, which is all about nature and animals and harmony with nature and elements and peace, and you know, like you're at peace. And that's not me. I'm not cutesy Finola. I am a grumpy person. I am a negative, just being honest, I am a negative, pessimistic, introverted person. So I was like, I'm gonna change. It's okay to change. I'm like midway through it, but I'm gonna change my character to something that suits me better. I reread the things that talked about the species, and I decided that I am going to be an Ilturian, which is basically like a vampire, basically like a vegan vampire. They're like super pale because they live underground, and they have dark hair, and red eyes and they have fangs, but they are repulsed by blood, and when they go out, they can turn into crows and fly. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. That's awesome. That's me. And the only thing is that I'm not repulsed by blood. I think blood is awesome. I'm coming across like a crazy person here, but I just think that I'm just not repulsed by blood. So I'm gonna be like a rebel Iltyrian, and my parents are gonna be like angry at me because I eat meat and I'm not repulsed by blood. But anyway, so I'm gonna show this because it's funny. So I just did like a test avatar of what I would look like as an Iltyrian, and I did this. And then I put it around. This is more like me, definitely. They have pointy ears too, so I got so into it. I did like a bunch of different avatars for me, and so my name is now Morgana Kirkusian, and I redid the questions and answers thing to sort you into a guild, and as Morgana, I changed some answers and I got sorted into the House of the Arcane, which I think is a lot more my vibe. I kept doing avatars because I was just so in love with her. Look how badass she is. And I even did like her growing up. That's how much I waste my time. So I am going to enter the autumn equinox as Morgana, and that's gonna be really fun. The calling that I chose was the very last one, which is the Rift Architect, because I think if I could have any superpower, it would be just to like click my fingers and be somewhere else. Like, just imagine, it's like apparating in Harry Potter, just like, and you're in Egypt or London. It's so cool. So basically Rift Architects, they learn to open portals to certain places. So if someone wants a portal to, I don't know, some place in Aldea and it's very far and they don't want to trek it, they pay you and you make a portal and they go through it. So I just thought that was so cool, so amazing. So that's me, that's the Rift Architect. So let's go to my prompts for my TBR. So I have to take 3 classes: Inscription, Spells and Incantations, and Conjuration. I have to get a Q in Inscription, so 2 books. I have to get a D in Spells and Incantations, so 3 books. And I have to get a Q in Conjuration, so 2 books. So in the end, we have 7 books. And honestly, I used to be a very fast reader, but I don't know what's happening. I'm like really, really bad at it now. And I'm actually afraid I won't get to finish these 7 books in 1 month. And the thing is, there are also quests, and I want to participate in the quests, and I want to get, because if you participate in the quest, you get guild points and you get like higher in the guild. And anyway, so for Inscription, the O, the Ordinary, The prompt is to read a childhood favorite, and for that I kind of cheated because it really wasn't a childhood favorite. I only read it as an adult, and as a childhood I watched the movie, but it wasn't one of my favorites, and it's Alice in Wonderland. But as it is a childhood book, a children's book, I think it counts. It counts. And this one is such a beautiful copy. It's like leather bound, and it's so beautiful, and it's hollow. And completely illustrated with the original illustrations, so I'm good to go. And this one has Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, so there are 2 books in here, and I'm gonna count them as one because I'm not gonna go into it, but it's all about a song called Graceless by The National, which is basically one of my favorite songs of all time, and I have like 2 tattoos based on this song. And there's a part of the song that I don't understand, and Genius, the website that tells you the meanings of lyrics, says that it has to do with Alice Through the Looking Glass, so I'm gonna read this and I'll finally understand it, hopefully. This has 289 pages. Then Q for inscription, it's inking techniques, so it's a graphic novel, comic, or manga, and I chose something really unlike me because I'm not a very big fan of horror. I chose Greetings from Hellville by Thomas Ott. So the thing is, I'm not a big fan of horror, but I'm a fan of Thomas Ott because his art is magnificent. Like the way he makes his comics are not with the common way it's usually made, with paper, pencil, or pen, or digitally. He literally uses a white paper and a black paper, and he takes like a scalpel or a box cutter, I don't know, and he just cuts. He makes cuts in the white paper or the black paper, I don't know, and then the paper that's behind comes through, and that makes the picture. And I'm like, that must take so long. And I'm like, for one little box of a comic, that must take like 4 to 5 days. And I'm just in awe, and it's such a beautiful art. And this is one of the, it's like a collection of horror stories, and it's one I haven't read yet, so it's in the TBR. It has 53 pages. Now we get to spells and incantations, and I have to get a distinguished in it, so I have to read 3 books. So the ordinary is spell recolor, so I have to use a color wheel and a random color wheel, and in the color that the thing stops on, I have to read a book with that color on the cover. And I got green, and I looked and looked and looked, and I was actually gonna read something else, but right at the end I decided I was gonna read this one, which is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. And it's not entirely green, and G said that it doesn't have to be like a block of green or a block of purple or whatever, but it obviously has green in it, so I'm good. And I think it's gonna be a really cool story because it's about a girl who has a webcomic that is so famous. It's like Harry Potter famous, but nobody knows who she is. She's like anonymous. But in real life, I mean, she's like revered in the internet, but in real life she's like a really introverted, anxious person, and dealing with anxiety and I don't know, maybe depression, I don't know. And I'm really excited for this one, and I've been wanting to read this for a long time. And it's really cool because it has mixed media, so you get like chats, you know, and you get a bunch of art because she's obviously an artist. She has a webcomic, so I'm really pumped for this one. Unfortunately, it's not. It looks like it is, but it's not. It's not that long. It's 385 pages. So for Q qualified, it's Incantation Echo. So it's a book that you will rob from someone else's TBR. And I just watched a bunch of TBRs till I found one that I wanted. And it's gonna be And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Frederick Backman. I'm finally going into it. I hope it doesn't break my heart too hard. But G just absolutely loves it. She says it's like the first time that it was a 5-star book that had like no flaws, and also it only has 97 pages. So awesome. The next one is Distinguished and is Hex Tongue-Tied, and you're supposed to annotate a book. That for me will be okay because I annotate every book I read, and I chose The Air Affair, which is a book I've been meaning to read for a long time because Jane Eyre is my favorite book of all time. Like, this thing right here, this shelf, is just copies of Jane Eyre. Like, I currently have, I think, 54, and this story is basically like in a future where people can actually get inside the books, the stories, and change the stories of the books. And there is actually now a part of the police which is just responsible for these crimes, like crimes related to book tampering. So I believe it's like something I honestly don't know exactly what the rules are, but apparently you can just get inside Pride and Prejudice and just meet Mr. Darcy and Lizzie Bennet. But I think the laws are that you can't change the story of the book. But there's this guy now that is a character serial killer, and he's like going through classics and killing main characters. So he already killed someone in a book, and his next target is Jane in Jane Eyre. So the detective in the police that is charged with this mission is called Thursday Next. Her name is Thursday Next, and she has to go inside Jane Eyre to find this man and prevent him from killing Jane. And it's one of those books that could be amazing or shit. So I'm really looking forward to it and annotating the shit out of it. Now we have Conjuration, and Conjuration I only have to get to qualified, so 2 books. In ordinary, it's necromancy, so I have to read a book with necromancy themes, and for that I luckily discovered that one of my favorite TV shows now has comic books, and it's Penny Dreadful, and I love Penny Dreadful. I just loved that whole thing, the stories and the characters and just the whole feel of the thing, and the macabre Victorian dark thing. That I just loved everything about it. And now there are comics, and there are comics that are like retelling the story of the TV series, and there are comics that the story continues after the end of the TV series. So I'm gonna start with the volume 1, which is still telling the story that we know already, but I'm pumped for it. And so it's Penny Dreadful volume 1. It has 128 pages, and I'm so excited. For Q qualified, we have Tales the Bones Tell, and that's bone on cover or title, and that stumped me. That stumped me good. I was so almost cheating. I was almost cheating because I was like, see this? It's a human being. Human beings have bones. That's a bone in the cover. But I know that's not what you meant. So I searched all my Goodreads, and there was nothing with bones in it except Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor, which is a book I really want to read, but not right now because I don't want to start a series at this point in my life right now, and because I have so many to finish. And so I was stumped, and I went through my shelves and I was like, bones, there has to be a book with a bone here, like, and I couldn't find it. I was like, oh, Hamlet, but I've already read Hamlet, I'm not gonna reread Hamlet, and I just couldn't find anything. So I just went on my want to read on Goodreads, and there was this book called Master of Salt and Bones, and it's supposed to be a fantasy, a dark fantasy, and it has really good reviews, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, and that's the one I chose. And unfortunately it has 552 pages, but fortunately it is a standalone. But anyway, it has 552 pages, so I'm afraid. In the end, I made the calculations, and I have to read 1,978 pages, so basically 2,000 pages. And for most people that's like a piece of cake. Like, I've seen all the other girls make their TBRs, and it's like 5,000 pages, 3,000 pages, 4,000 pages, and I'm like, how? and I know mine is like small compared to them, but it's relative, and to me it's a lot. I'm hoping it works out. I have to read basically 64 pages a day in August, but today is August the 4th and I haven't started. So, and that's it. That's my TBR for Orilium, Magical Readathon, Autumn Equinox, and I'm so excited for it. And I'm going to start with Eliza and Alice's adventures because, you know, you have to start with the ordinary and then go to the qualified and distinguished, because if you read a distinguished and you don't read the ordinary, you basically did nothing. So I'm going by the rules, and I'm going to start with these and Penny Dreadful, and let's see what happens. I really do hope I get to finish it, and I really want to participate in quests too, so I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I'll try my best. And thank you so much, G, for this readathon, for all the work you've put into it. So many hours, so many days, and it's so amazing and so fun for us. And I just thank you. Just like the ASMR room that you did for us, the locked library. It's perfect. Thank you. Anyway, I've talked too much. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'm so happy and thankful you're here. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.